Hi, welcome to The Encounter. It is a series where we are looking at what is one of my favorite passages of Scripture, favorite chapters in the Bible, because it is so loaded with stuff and so loaded with meaning. And it's an encounter, or a number of encounters that Jesus has that gives you a glimpse of his power, his majesty, and the way that he deals with people. It's pretty incredible when you think about it. And so we're reading it and we're looking at it and we're kind of working through the verses and notes that I have. And I want to pick up in verse 21. We've just finished verse 20. He's healed the man of the legion of demons. And so in verse 21 it says, "Now when Jesus had crossed over again by boat to the other side, a great multitude gathered to him, and he was by the sea. And behold, one of the rulers of the synagogue came, Jairus by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet, and he begged him earnestly, saying, 'My little daughter lies at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her, that she may be healed, and she will live.' So Jesus went with him, and a great multitude followed and thronged him." In verse 25 it says, "Now a certain woman with a flow of blood for 12 years, had a flow of blood for 12 years, and had suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. And when she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment, for she said, 'If only I may touch his clothes, I may be made well.' Immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, 'Who touched my clothes?' But his disciples said to him, 'You see the multitude thronging around you, and you say, "Who touched me?" And he looked around to see the one who had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, 'Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction.' And while he was still speaking, some came from the ruler of the synagogue's house, who said, 'Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?' And as soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he said to the ruler of the synagogue, 'Don't be afraid, only believe.' And he permitted no one to follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. And they came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue and saw a tumult about those who wept and wailed loudly. And when he came in, he said to them, 'Why make this commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but sleeping.' And they ridiculed him. But when he had put them all outside, he took the father and the mother of the child and those who were with him and entered where the child was laying. And he took the child by the hand, and he said to her, 'Talitha cumi,' which is translated, 'Little girl, I say to you, arise.' Immediately the girl arose and walked, for she was 12 years of age. And they were overcome with great amazement, but he commanded them strictly that no one should know it. And he said that something should be given to her to eat." In that last portion, I want you to think about, at least for us as we've just read the passage together, the dynamic of what's going on. Jesus has healed and had an encounter with demons, an encounter with a man that he has restored, an encounter with people who have seen what has gone on, people who are angry at him for destroying a herd of pigs. And he's moved back to the other side, and there's a crowd of people that are now hearing about what Jesus has done, and they meet him at the other side. And the Bible describes this massive crowd moving with him. And a ruler in the synagogue, Jairus, comes to him and says, "You need to help my little girl. She's about to die." And Jesus says, "Okay." As they're making their way through all these people, a woman who is in need, who is at the end of her rope, touches him. And he stops to walk, and he knows that power is gone, and he deals with her. And he shares with her. And while that's happening, the miracle that he was on his way to do has gone south. And they come and they say to Jairus, "Why bother the teacher? Your daughter's dead." And Jesus says, No, let's go. And they go, and they get there. And the encounter continues, and Jesus encounters all these people who are weeping because death is so real and so final, and Jesus is too late, and the little girl is dead, and Jesus has to clear the house. And so in this encounter, he's moved everybody out of the house, and he takes just the mom and the dad and Peter and James and John with him. And he brings the little girl back to life. And one of the reasons I love this passage of Scripture is because Jesus is moving through and he's encountering people and they're bumping into him. But as they're bumping into him, each encounter is so rich and vivid and different, and Jesus is meeting each one at a point of need. And that's how Jesus meets us. And so one of the reasons that this is one of my favorite passages is because Jesus meets me at my point of need in just the way I need it and at just the right time. To be honest with you, sometimes I get frustrated with God because he doesn't seem to move at the speed I want him to. And yet, God always comes through. And although every encounter is different, Jesus is doing exactly what he came to do. And each step of the way, we're seeing something about him and his character and the way that he deals with people that is so amazing and so important for us to get and understand. And so next time in the encounter, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the encounter. We're going to think about the healing that he does of the woman with this issue of blood, the crowd that's around him, and this man by the name of Jairus, and the encounter that he had with Christ to change everything. And so, I invite you to join me next time as we continue the encounter, and I'll look at Mark chapter 5. Look forward to next time.